Let's take another unique angle and look at you as if you are an avatar. Not like the James Cameron movie, but more like a video game character. This is why there is a video game motif throughout pretty much the entire course that we're going through here. So, what is an avatar? It is a digital representation of a player or user in a virtual environment, often taking the form of a character that players can control or interact with. Now, I understand that not everybody is a huge gamer. I am not a huge video gamer, but I think metaphorically it makes a lot of sense. So perhaps you're familiar with some of these games. They span many different uh, types and spectrums, but the whole concept here is that within this game interface, almost all of these have customizations, upskilling, and potentially in some cases inventories of either skills or resources. We should be thinking about ourselves like that so that people either want to play with our avatar on their team or potentially as us. And that comes at kind of a I don't know, counterintuitive way of looking at it. As I said before with the false consensus effect, people need to put you in a box. They don't know what you've done and they don't know how to categorize you. Usually people struggle unless you give them kind of these schemas or formats to plug into. So when somebody says, "What are you? What can you do?" I try to give some sense for, "Oh, I work within marketing and I do CMO work." And automatically they're plugged into a representation in their head of what that looks like. We need to start thinking about that when we're looking at future careers or we're looking at different jobs so that people know where to place us. Now, there's archetypes in the form of discipline or function, and there's lots of different departments that everybody could fall into. Now, of course, more of a marketing type, and maybe you could say leadership and strategy, but ultimately that is maybe not what you are, and maybe not what you're looking for. Start to think about this in a more abstract way in order to put yourself in a position of like, well, what would the ideal avatar of me potentially have? So within the role of each function or each department, what is kind of your specialty or specialization so that the person talking to you can figure out like, oh, I get what they do. I know I need a person like that on my team. Now, it's always frustrating to put ourselves into labels or pigeonholed or somehow labeled in a degree that is, I don't know, it's not necessarily pejorative. It's just unfortunate that we have to wear labels in order for people to understand who we are. I think it's incredibly powerful to break down the hierarchy within organizations so that you understand the different levels that each person needs to reach in order to either reach the maximum amount of leadership or payment or competencies that are required. So, a quick breakdown of this is you start as a sole contributor. This means you're not coming up with ideas as a team, you're more just somebody tells you to do something, you go out and do it. Then you become a contributing team member where often you are volunteering ideas and those ideas are being worked on collectively as a group. Then potentially you step into the world of management and you are managing one or a few people within a team. After that, you may level up to effective leader, which is you have multiple people that are potentially managing people underneath them and you are overseeing all sorts of projects that they are showing to you and giving yeses and nos across the board. And then the last top kind of this is like a fake me out period, but the capstone of that is the executive, which is basically somebody managing the entire department or a CEO or a founder. Now, it's going to be a different path if you want to move to Europe or get a new job as a founder, because that's not really what this course is about. That's a different course, and I'm happy to go into that. I have a version of that on a few different sites, but let's move on. So, your archetype and role. I spent some time building out a bunch of different archetypes so that you can start to understand what makes sense for you. So, if you click on this bad boy, and this should be linked inside of the description, you can see that all of the departments are listed here. And by the way, there's lots of different dynamics within different organizations, different industries. If this does not resonate with your industry, that's okay. You don't necessarily fit into this archetype because it's industry specific. I get it. Within each one of these, I've kind of built them out with as a focus tech and tech related jobs, a lot of SaaS. But it doesn't mean that this doesn't exist. So maybe you're within the world of, I don't know, a product marketer, starting to understand your angle in terms of like the creative twist of like, yeah, maybe I do like product promotion and referrals and all those crazy things that happen within products. The primary projects that you tend to work on could be this, maybe it's not. There's different certifications within each of these verticals, and this was a guess, thanks ChatGPT. There's a lot of different skills that one would need to possess, and the expectation of somebody interviewing for that would exist here. As we get closer to building a portfolio, there's lots of stuff in here that would need to be in a portfolio. And then from the skill set standpoint, these are the different types of projects that I would expect to see out of somebody that has that particular job title. Is this perfect? Absolutely not. Not a chance. But the goal is to start to think about yourself as something that exists within labels so that people can very quickly attach to what you are. Everybody's unique, everybody's special, but in this sense, we really have to give people something to work from. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Imagine leveling up your avatar from, zero, level zero, just getting into the game and being a super maxed out, more abilities, more skills, most amount of experience avatar. There's a big difference between level 1 and level 10. I don't care if you haven't really gotten into video games, that is an absolute thing. So we need to start making ourselves look like a level 10 as opposed to a level 1, even if we are level 1. There's lots of different ways to do that. So we have to start imagining, how can we make ourselves or an avatar of ourselves look a lot better than we actually are, or match the expectations to reality. You probably are a rock star. So that's what this course is all about. We're going to dive into a lot of different areas. We got to capture a shitload of stuff in order to get there, and I hope you're ready because it's starting now.